Originally, I think Kim, brought up the topic. We've talked about adopting kids before, and I think she's been on mission trips. I've been on mission trips where we work with young kids and teenagers on down, and it feels like you get a bond with them and you see what their needs are, but you really don't see it all because you're only there for a few days. And so Kim brought up the topic of you can be trained to be a foster parent, or you can adoptive parent. It's the exact same training. So we decided to go through the training. She kind of convinced me that's what we wanted to do, and I prayed about it, and I thought about my experiences with kids, and I thought, yeah, I think that this would be something we want to look into. So we went into the training feeling like God was calling us, but the calling got deeper as you see the reality of life. Calling definitely got stronger when you go to the training class and you see real life pictures and stories of kids who have been neglected or actually abused, even young kids. There is no way. I think we were selfish at first, thinking that we were going to go try to be an adoptive parent, but then when you realize that there are kids out there that need foster parents, and when you realize these are real people in real need. I hadn't been on an overseas mission trip, and so I felt like this is one way, God is actually could be calling me to be on mission 24 hours a day. So in a way, I looked at it as almost like a mission field, and it was bringing it into my house all the time, not just for a week, not just for 10 days. So I have to plead guilty on not being the best with finances, because I think I've been blessed to have such a nice job that I don't have to think sometimes about where all the money goes. So we're starting to realize that this is a burden, and it can be a burden on your family and financially. That was one of the things that I think was one thing that was giving me a little bit of hesitation. The interaction between my birth kids and the foster kids has been fun to watch. It's actually been fun to watch how I notice the things that my blood kids will say, that I can hear it echoing from me. These are the things that I taught them. And now they're trying to teach that to the 4 and the 6 and the 10-year-old kids that we have. And so it's interesting to realize what kind of impact I've had. And so that's been fun to watch. The hardest thing is the fact that you have to lower your expectations. And I still think Kim and I struggle with that, because as you raise your own kids, you have certain ways you bring them up, and you have a standard, and they meet that day by day. When you have foster kids come into your house, they don't know your rules and the standards you've set forth. It's very hard to figure out where reality is for these kids, because number one, they've been neglected, and then number two, they've been loved on by some foster parents. I'm not sure. Sometimes we were the second or third foster parent they had. I've tried to teach them that your actions are a whole lot more important than what your words are. You can't just say I love you and thank you and all those things, and those are nice to do and say. But the next minute, you cannot rebel and just act terrible and disrespectful. I mean, that's just showing that you really don't know what love is. But it was sort of like, yeah, I knew these foster kids probably existed out there, but you really don't know until you see the details. You really don't know. They were probably invisible to me. Even though they were a category of people, I didn't have a story in front of me that told me the details. And so now every kid that's come to our house, you kind of see the details. The mother may have been in jail, or the father had an alcohol problem or drug problem. Maybe they weren't even around. Maybe they were raised by somebody that was not even their parents. So they were definitely invisible to me, and I'm assuming that's the way it would look to the outside world. And you never know what kids are going through. I'm assuming that the foster kids we have go to school, and their classmates don't know what they've been through in the past, just like I don't know as their foster parent. And their past is invisible. They don't bring it up. They don't talk about it. So they're just another kid. And I think that to me, they probably go through school being invisible to their classmates. And when you're faced with what the kids have been through, and you see the details, they can't be invisible anymore. It's impossible. And I felt like I couldn't say no when I see their story.